I'm Eric Novak, and these are 10 things to know about the all-new Mazda CX-30. So what is the Mazda CX-30? Well, all automakers right now are taking a look at their SUV crossover lineups and trying to make sure that they have something available for everybody, since apparently that's where consumers are going. We've abandoned sedans for the most part, and we're into the crossover market. So in Mazda's case, looking at their lineup at the top end, the CX-9 has been a very successful three-row mid-size SUV crossover, and their best seller of their entire product offering is the CX-5. They also, a few years ago, introduced the very ultra-compact CX-3, but apparently that's not enough. So here we have something just slightly larger apparently than the CX-3 and smaller than the CX-5. You have an all-new Mazda CX-30. The new CX-30 is the second model from Mazda to incorporate its new version of the interpretive Kodo design. Despite it being an all-new design and an all-new addition to the Mazda lineup, it's pretty clear to recognize that this is indeed a Mazda. The CX-30 is built on the same platform as the new Mazda 3, but on the exterior design it pretty much is a smaller version of the CX-5. The CX-30 is just over 6 inches shorter than the CX-5, but it's also about 4 3/4 inches longer than the CX-3. With a wheelbase of 104.4 inches, it's longer than both the Hyundai Kona and the Nissan Qashqai, who are likely to be the CX-30's main category competitors. There are 8 colors available for the CX-30, including their increasingly popular polymetal gray, but I always find this Soul Red to be one of my favorites. The CX-30 is designed to be more versatile for urban dwellers and small families compared to the much smaller CX-3. In terms of cargo capacity, the 20.2 cubic feet offered by the CX-30 is about 20% bigger than that inside the CX-3. Using my 3 grocery bin test, I was certainly able to fit all of it into the cargo area without any stacking. The available power liftgate on the GT trim is a nice addition and one not too often found on vehicles in this size category. The Mazda CX-30 is the second demonstration of Mazda's new Kodo philosophy. It applies on the exterior and on the interior as well. What we look and we see inside the new interior is pretty much very reminiscent of what you see in the new Mazda 3, and that is an interior overall that is very minimalist in a way, simplistic. Elegant are words that work. It's refined, certainly. I've always, but I remember when I sat on the Mazda 3 for the first time, I thought, wow, this really is a sort of a calmer, more overall, just generally simplistic interior. And that's what you see here in the CX-30 as well. A lot of effort has been, it's been put into by the designers and engineers on the interior placement. A lot of things are similar if you've been in a Mazda before. The central commander, is obviously at an ergonomic position, just off your elbow. It's simple enough, it's easy to use, and it connects well the gear selector and moving onwards. It's a pretty consistent layout. It's not always perfect. I think with the new Mazda 3 and now with the CX-30, we've seen an 8.8 inch center screen mounted above, and it seems small to me in the Mazda 3, and it seems that way even more so with the CX-30. And I think the reason why is the screen itself. It sits on top of the console, but it's somewhat recessed into. There's a bit of a pocket where it sort of sits into, and it kind of shrinks the overall appearance of the screen. And I'm even thinking while the natural seating position here with these driver seats is somewhat upright, that's the way it's been designed. I'm thinking if someone is a little bit shorter, they may have an appearance that the screen is even smaller than it is, given that there's a bit of a recess on what is already it's a 16:9. It's a long wide aspect ratio screen, but it's not very high, and I don't think there'd be a big problem if you saw it expanded by 15, 20, or 50% or something like that to make it more visible. That's one thing that kind of I don't love overall. From a driver-centric perspective, there is a lot of room. You can extend your seat far enough back, especially if you like to have your legs extended or if you have longer legs for driving. The overall efficiency and placement of instruments is fine, but if you're a passenger and you're in the second seat, there is a maximum leg room of some 36.5 inches, but that's when the fronts are fully extended. The reality is here, if you're in the second seat, there's not a lot of leg room if you have an adult driving. My kids were in the back a few times this week, and I have teenagers, and I had to push myself up to a point where I wasn't completely comfortable for them to have enough legroom. But that's all part of the parcel of getting a compact crossover. You would need to know that going into things to realize what you're getting. Just as the CX-30 is built on the same platform as the Mazda 3, it's powered by the same engines too. There are two Skyactiv G engines available with the CX-30. The base GX trim is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that provides 155 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. GS and GT trims use the 2.5-liter variant and enjoys a more peppy 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque as a result. That is, if you can call 186 horsepower peppy. An interesting aspect is that the 2.5-liter engine in the top-end GT trim will offer cylinder deactivation and better fuel economy as a result. Now, there's still no word yet on when we might see the new Skyactiv X powertrain here in North America, but it would probably be a great choice for the CX-30 when it does become available. Both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions are available with each engine, but on the top-end GT trim, all-wheel drive will be standard. And speaking of standard, you won't be able to drive one on the CX-30 as there is only a 6-speed automatic transmission available regardless of trim level or engine choice. With multiple engines and drive configurations, the CX-30 has multiple combined fuel economy ratings to sift through. The 2-liter engine with front-wheel drive has a combined fuel economy rating according to Natural Resources Canada of 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers or 20.04 US miles per gallon. The all-wheel drive variant of the 2-liter engine posts a combined rating of 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers or 27.35 US mpg. With the 2.5-liter engine, front-wheel drive combined figures are 8.3 liters per 100 kilometers or 28.34 US mpg and 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers or 26.43 US mpg in all-wheel drive. However, with the cylinder deactivation available on the GT trim, the combined number drops to 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers or 27.35 US mpg, which is an improvement of about 3.5%. These numbers are all higher than what you'd get with the Mazda 3 despite being the same engines. However, that can be explained by the fact that the CX-30 outweighs the Mazda 3 by 326 pounds. There really isn't much of a descriptive that I can offer regarding the drive of the CX-30, other than the fact that with either engine, you won't have to worry about an accelerated heartbeat. Neither engine is particularly fast, nor are they drudgingly slow. If you want the best combination of performance and fuel economy, then opt for the GT trim with the larger engine but with the cylinder deactivation. But as for the drive itself, thanks to Mazda's G-Vectoring Control Plus feature, the vehicle stays planted and stable throughout all normal driving situations. Sightlines are good all around and the general ergonomics are well laid out. The CX-30 is designed for urban living primarily, and those looking for a versatile vehicle that's sized right for life in urban environments would do well driving around in this one. So the 10th thing to know is, what do I think about this CX-30? As always, Mazda has a really great track record of building attractive and stylish vehicles. That overall Kodo design, the flow and the element of design that the Mazda team has done so well up until now continues on with this new CX-30. Now, as a size-wise, it's actually a bit smaller inside than I thought it would be. It can be tight, so really you have to bear that in mind if this is something you're looking at, because once you have a full-size adult or two in the front, there's really not a lot of space in the second row. But it's got this minimalist, attractive interior as well that's going to hit a certain demographic in just the right way. I mean, overall, I think it's going to do pretty well. As to whether it's going to top this new aggressive sort of segment that's between super small and mid-sized, that time will tell. I don't think this has the potential to be the best seller. It won't top the CX-5, but it certainly is a pretty strong addition to the overall lineup. Those are your 10 things to know about the all-new Mazda CX-30. I'm Eric Novak. Thanks for watching. There's plenty of ways for you to keep connected with me, so check out some of my social media links, suggested videos, and I'd really love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.